The town of Villisca, Iowa, nestled among the rolling cornfields of Montgomery County, was the kind of place where people left their doors unlocked and knew each other by name. It was June 9th, 1912, a warm Sunday, and the Moore family, Josiah, his wife Sarah, and their 4 children, were returning from a church event with 2 overnight guests, Lena and Ina Stillinger, who were friends of the Moore children. Their white 2-story house stood plain and quiet on East 2nd Street. Nothing about it seemed ominous. It was the kind of home where the scent of baked bread drifted from the kitchen windows and children's laughter echoed through the walls. But by morning, the house would fall into a silence that would never truly lift. That night as they went to bed, none of them could have known that someone else was already inside. The killer entered the home sometime between midnight and 2 a.m. The attic window had been opened earlier that day. Some said a man had been seen lurking about town, tall, gaunt, dressed in black. Others whispered he had hidden inside the attic hours before the family returned. He moved through the darkness without a sound, barefoot, carrying an axe. He first entered the master bedroom. Josiah was killed instantly, struck with such force that his face was unrecognizable. Sarah awoke only a moment before the axe fell again. The noise should have awoken the others. But the killer was methodical, calculated, possessed. He entered the children's room and murdered Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul with the same brute strength, sparing none. Downstairs, the Stillinger sisters lay sleeping in the guest room. He came for them last. Some say Lena was found in a position suggesting she awoke, tried to fight back. Her hands were bruised, a defensive wound on her arm. She was the only one who seemed to struggle. By 5 a.m., the killer was gone. The axe left in the guest room. A slab of bacon was placed near the weapon. A strange, inexplicable detail. Mirrors in the house were covered with cloth. The killer had taken his time, the curtains drawn, the doors locked, and the house waited in silence for someone to find the dead. It was around 8 a.m. when Mary Peckham, the Moore's neighbor, grew concerned. The house was still, and none of the children had come out to do their chores. She knocked. No answer. She called for Josiah. Silence. She finally fetched Ross Moore, Josiah's brother, who used his key to enter the home. Inside, a wave of dread filled him instantly. It wasn't just quiet, it was wrong. He pushed open the guest room door. The sight inside stole his breath. The sheriff arrived shortly after, and the horror unfolded. Word spread fast. By noon, the house was surrounded by townsfolk. Some broke through police lines to look inside. Hundreds would walk through the home that day, trampling through the scene of the crime, stealing clues, disrupting evidence. The town was no longer safe, and Villisca would never be the same. Suspects came and went. Frank F. Jones, a powerful local businessman and Josiah's former employer, was one. Rumor claimed Josiah had an affair with Jones's daughter-in-law. Others suspected a traveling preacher, Reverend George Kelly, who was in town that night and had a reputation for madness. Kelly eventually confessed, then recanted. He was tried twice. The first jury hung. The second acquitted him. And that was the end of it. The case went cold. But Villisca didn't. People began reporting strange things about the house. The Moore residence was eventually abandoned, then sold, then abandoned again. Over the decades, visitors claimed to see shadows darting through the halls, hear whispers in the attic, and feel icy fingers stroke their skin at night. Psychics, investigators, and thrill-seekers all tried to explain it. None succeeded. Some say it's the spirit of the murderer still lurking in the attic. Others believe it's the spirits of the children reliving their final night in eternal fear. In 1994, the house was restored to its 1912 condition and opened for tours. It became known as one of the most haunted houses in America. Among the tour guides was a woman named Marla, a retired school teacher with a fascination for true crime. She didn't believe in ghosts, not really, but she respected the house. One October evening, she agreed to stay overnight alone for a Halloween feature in the local newspaper. Armed with a recorder, a flashlight, and a thick blanket, she settled into the parlor with a notebook and thermos of coffee. At first, it was silent. Then came the thump. It echoed from the attic. She held her breath, convinced it was the wind. Then footsteps. Heavy, deliberate, walking above her. She grabbed her flashlight, shining it toward the ceiling. The footsteps stopped. She climbed the stairs, each step creaking beneath her weight. The hallway stretched like a throat. She opened the bedroom door where the children had died. It was cold. Bitterly cold. Her breath fogged in front of her. Then the closet door creaked open. There was no one there, but the air turned thick. Her vision blurred. A sound, like weeping, filled the room. She turned and ran, out the house, into the night. She never returned. In 2021, a true crime YouTuber named Brent Holloway visited Villisca with a small crew to document the case in a 3-part series. Brent was skeptical but professional. The first night, nothing happened. The second night, their equipment malfunctioned, cameras flickered, audio cut out. One of the team members, Lisa, claimed she saw a shadow standing in the attic. A tall figure, thin, motionless. By night 3, things took a darker turn. Brent was found pacing outside the house at 3 a.m., muttering, "He's still inside, he never left." When asked what he meant, he said, "The man with the axe." He's still there, watching. Brent abandoned the project, deleted all footage, disappeared from social media. When asked later why he ended the series, he said only, "Some stories don't want to be told." The Villisca Axe murder house still stands. Visitors come year-round. Some are tourists, others ghost hunters. Some come for answers, but most leave with more questions. Why were the mirrors covered? Why leave bacon near the axe? Why was the killer so calm? And perhaps the darkest question of all, what if he never left the house? They say late at night, if you stand outside the house on East 2nd Street and listen carefully, you'll hear footsteps in the attic. And if you dare to step inside, don't look into the mirrors. You might not like what looks back.